Fans divided. Did Jungkook feel replaced after Taehyung's warm gesture to a stranger in LA? Loudly crying face Rose. The story begins not in Seoul, not on a concert stage, but on a quiet street outside the Paramount Pictures studios in Los Angeles, a place drenched in gold light, flashing cameras, and whispers of stardom. It was October 26, 2025, the night of Vogue World, Hollywood, where luxury collided with art and global icons mingled under a sky full of glimmering lights. But no one expected that one small act, a single, heartfelt gesture from Kim Taehyung, known as V of BTS, would set off an emotional storm that would ripple across the entire fandom. Taehyung had just left the main event, dressed in a sharp black suit that turned heads even among Hollywood's elite. But it wasn't his outfit that made headlines. It was what happened as he approached his car. A fan, standing behind the barricades, held out a bouquet of flowers with trembling hands. Instead of passing by, as most celebrities do, Taehyung stopped. He smiled, and then he walked over, took the flowers, and to everyone's surprise, handed them right back to her. The moment was captured on dozens of cameras. The fans' eyes welled with tears, Taehyung's smile softened, and the video spread across social media like wildfire. The caption on the first viral tweet read, "He gave her the flowers back, loudly crying face, the sweetest man alive." Within hours, hashtags like #VFlowerMoment and #Taehyung in Hollywood topped trends in South Korea, Japan, and even Brazil. The world fell in love with him all over again. But while the headlines focused on Taehyung's charm, another corner of the internet began to buzz with a different energy, one that carried confusion, nostalgia, and even a touch of sadness. Where was Jungkook? That was the question. The two youngest members of BTS, Taehyung and Jungkook, had always shared an energy that ARMY knew by heart. They were the mischief makers, the emotional twins, the duo whose chemistry fueled endless fan theories and countless edits. Yet now, in this new era of solo schedules, film appearances, and independent lives after military service, something about Taehyung's Hollywood moment felt different. Jungkook was nowhere to be seen. Just days earlier, Jungkook had made headlines of his own after ranking number 4 in the 2025 Top 100 Most Handsome Faces of K-pop, a competition known for its global fan voting and intense scrutiny. It should have been a triumphant moment, proof that his charm still captivated the world even after months of silence during BTS's hiatus. But in the shadow of Taehyung's spontaneous act of kindness, the online discourse took a sharp emotional turn. Suddenly, fans began comparing their energy again. V is shining like he never left, one fan wrote on X. But Jungkook, where is he? Why hasn't he appeared anywhere? Another post that gained traction read, "Does anyone else feel like Taehyung stepping into a new chapter, and Jungkook still stuck behind?" Of course, such comments are pure speculation. But fandoms thrive on emotions, and BTS's fanbase has always been emotionally tuned to every flicker, every silence, every missing piece in the puzzle of their beloved members' lives. To understand why this small moment carried such weight, you have to look back to where the group stood in 2025. BTS had just completed their mandatory military service, a chapter that marked the end of an era. Since 2022, they had paused group activities, each member serving their time, one by one, until the final discharge in June 2025. What was meant to be a hiatus turned into a global waiting period filled with nostalgia, anxiety, and hope. Fans counted days, months, even hours until the seven would stand together again. And yet, as soon as they were all free, the group didn't immediately reunite. Instead, each member began to move quietly in their own direction, Taehyung heading west to Hollywood, Jimin focusing on his next album, RM reappearing at cultural forums, and Jungkook simply disappearing from public view. That silence became its own mystery. While Taehyung was photographed with film directors, models, and musicians, Jungkook's presence was limited to pre-recorded content and a few fleeting updates through official channels. The world began to ask, was he resting, recovering, or retreating? So when Taehyung's flower moment took over the internet, fans couldn't help but draw emotional lines between the two youngest members. For some, it was pure joy to see V glowing, smiling, living. For others, It reopened the ache of absence, the unspoken distance between the two names that had once seemed inseparable. As fan theories spiraled, some began to link the situation to Jungkook's personality itself. He has always been the introspective one, the man who feels deeply but speaks rarely. His fans often describe him as an emotional mirror, sensitive, loyal, and quietly intense. Taehyung, on the other hand, has always embodied spontaneity, art, and emotional bravery, the kind of person who gives flowers to strangers because he feels something in the moment. It's this contrast that once made their bond so magnetic, and perhaps now so painful. Could it be that Jungkook felt replaced? That he watched Taehyung's global presence grow and wondered if the world had shifted while he was away? The idea sounds dramatic, maybe even unfair. But ARMY's discussions rarely stem from malice. They come from love, from years of witnessing a connection so genuine that its quietness now feels deafening. Some fans tried to calm the storm. Stop comparing them, one wrote on Weverse. They're both shining in their own ways. Others agreed, but admitted they missed seeing them together. Remember when Jungkook used to say he looked up to V as his Hyung, his role model? Those moments feel like forever ago, a fan commented, earning thousands of likes. Meanwhile, entertainment analysts offered a different angle. They pointed out that BTS's hiatus and individual projects were always going to reshape the fan experience. According to one K-pop industry expert, what we're seeing is the natural evolution of global idols who are transitioning from shared identity to personal legacy. V's act in LA wasn't about replacing anyone, it was about stepping into his own story. And yet, in the emotional world of fandom, logic often takes a back seat. The image of Taehyung handing flowers to a stranger, a gesture so soft, so intimate, became symbolic. It represented freedom, individuality, and the bittersweet beauty of change. To some, it felt like a curtain closing on the duo era they once cherished. To others, it was simply another chapter in a bond that never truly breaks, no matter the distance. As the night of the Vogue World event faded into mourning, social media remained ablaze. Clips of the flower moment reached tens of millions of views. Media outlets from Seoul to London began publishing editorials about Taehyung's effortless charisma and global star power. Meanwhile, Jungkook's fanbase countered with compilations of his own warmth, the smiles, the fan interactions, the moments that reminded everyone that the Golden Magne's light never fades, even when he's unseen. By dawn, one sentiment seemed to echo louder than all the noise. BTS may be scattered, but their story is far from over. It's easy to forget that behind every performance, every viral moment, there are real people, friends, brothers, artists who carry years of memories together. Perhaps Jungkook isn't feeling replaced at all. Perhaps he's simply watching his friend bloom, quietly, from the sidelines, waiting for the right moment to return, because that's what BTS has always been about. Not competition, not comparison, but connection. Still, the question lingers in the air, softly but insistently, like the scent of a rose after it's been given away. Did Jungkook feel replaced after Taehyung's warm gesture in LA? Or did that single flower remind him of how much the world still loves him? 2. The answer, like the men themselves, remains beautifully unreadable. In the days that followed the now iconic Vogue World Hollywood night, the internet refused to move on. The moment between Taehyung and the unknown fan had become more than just a clip. It was a cultural event. Media outlets replayed it endlessly, dissecting every smile, every angle, every flutter of Taehyung's lashes under the California night lights. Fashion magazines praised his effortless elegance. Western tabloids dubbed him the new face of global charm. Even non-fans found themselves enchanted, quoting the viral line from one comment that read, "He didn't just give her flowers. He gave the world a reminder of kindness." But within the vast ocean of praise, a quiet wave of unease began to ripple through the fandom, especially among Jungkook's supporters. For them, it wasn't jealousy. It was longing. The kind of ache that comes from loving someone who's been silent for too long. After all, Jungkook had once been the face of spontaneity himself, the The boy who'd break into laughter during interviews, who'd hug fans tightly at concerts, who'd post unfiltered selfies that felt like love letters to ARMY. But since his return from military service, something had shifted. His once frequent updates had slowed to a trickle. His voice, once everywhere, from global award stages to Calvin Klein billboards, had faded into the background noise of waiting. And now, as Taehyung's LA moment exploded across the globe, the silence felt even heavier. It wasn't just fans who noticed. Korean media began subtly framing the narrative. V expands his global presence. Taehyung's Hollywood debut hints at a solo era, while Jungkook's name was quietly tied to his handsome ranking and a few speculative posts about possible collaborations. The contrast was striking. One member basking in cinematic glow, the other shrouded in mystery. Whereas Jungkook became more than just a question. It became a refrain. Some fans went further, drawing emotional parallels between Taehyung's newfound freedom and Jungkook's withdrawal. One viral TikTok edit compared clips of Taehyung smiling at fans in LA to Jungkook's last public appearance before enlistment, his eyes soft, his voice cracking as he said, "Wait for me." The edit ended with a caption, "Did we ever stop waiting?" The video garnered over 10 million views in a single day, and Weverse communities. Long threads debated whether Jungkook might be struggling with re-entry after military life, or whether he was simply taking his time to redefine himself artistically. Others speculated that perhaps he had chosen silence as protection, a pause to recharge before his next big move. Meanwhile, Taehyung's moment with a fan continued to evolve into symbolism. Fans began calling the scene the flower gesture, an emblem of grace and renewal. Some wrote essays about how it represented the beauty of giving without expectation. Others, however, couldn't shake the bittersweet undertone. "It was beautiful," one ARMY posted, but it also felt like the kind of scene Jungkook would have been part of too, if things were different. The emotional split in the fandom grew deeper. Team Healing versus Team Missing. Team Healing celebrated Taehyung's freedom, his soft power, his quiet rebellion against the rigid idol image. Team Missing, on the other hand, couldn't help but feel that behind all the lights, there was a growing distance between two souls who once seemed inseparable. For those who followed BTS from the beginning, the Taehyung dynamic, whether as friendship, artistic synergy, or something ineffable, was always magnetic. It was Jungkook's gaze lingering on Taehyung during award shows. It was Taehyung teasing him mid-performance. It was the shared laughter, the matching piercings, the inside jokes no one else understood. Over the years, that connection had transcended the idol-fan boundary, becoming its own narrative thread within the BTS story. When one half of that thread seemed to shine while the other remained silent, it was only natural that fans felt unbalanced. Then came the twist that reignited everything. 3 days after the Vogue World event, Jungkook's official Instagram, silent for weeks, suddenly updated.
No caption, no tags.
Just a single photo. A black and white close-up of his hand holding a single rose. The internet exploded. Within minutes, the image hit 1 million likes. Within an hour, it was trending in over 30 countries. Fans lost their minds. Was it a coincidence? Was it a response? Was Jungkook silently speaking through the image? Is he saying he saw Taehyung's gesture? One fan tweeted. Or is he reminding us that he still has his own way of showing love? Another post that went viral read, "He didn't need to write a word. The rose says everything." Theories spiraled like wildfire. Some believed Jungkook was subtly acknowledging the viral moment, offering a quiet connection through symbolism. Others saw it as an artistic expression of solitude, a reflection of his inner mood. A few fans, ever the romantics, even suggested it was a gentle nod to Taehyung himself, a way of saying, "I saw you." Whether coincidence or intention, the post reignited the Taehyung discourse worldwide. YouTube commentators, Twitter threads, and even news outlets began discussing the silent dialogue between two artists. K-pop culture journalists called it a masterclass in emotional storytelling through imagery. Behind the noise, though, something deeper was happening. The narrative had shifted from comparison to connection once again. Fans began realizing that perhaps both men were navigating the same storm. just in different ways. Taehyung through action and light, Jungkook through silence and shadows. Both were speaking, both were healing, both were reaching for something beyond the idol facade. And in a poetic twist, the two roses, one given to a stranger, one held in a photo, became twin symbols of BTS's unspoken bond. One represented giving, the other remembering. As days turned into weeks, Jungkook's post remained pinned, untouched. He didn't clarify it, didn't follow up. Taehyung didn't address it either. But fans didn't need words anymore. They understood. Some connections don't require explanation. They just exist, quietly beating beneath fame, distance, and time.